No, we've touched on this a little bit, but it's worth asking because I know a lot of my viewers are into permaculture and that sort of thing. So we talk about how does nitrogen work in that. I mean, you look at a forest, or you look at a field or a ditch, and no one's doing any work. There's nothing being added,
Hmm.
and they're getting, know, every plant's getting what it needs, or at least it seems to be that way. So, do we have an idealized view of this? How do you explain the functioning of natural systems?
Natural systems. Yes, my cynical side says, well, the plants that don't get everything they're needing just sort of fade away, and other plants
See,
outcompete them. That's
yes,
uh, you know, uh, if you look at a prairie system,
right,
often that's the poster child for permaculture is a prairie culture. Well, a native prairie is a mix of deep-rooted grasses, um, some forbs, some sort of non-legume broadleaf plants, and a whole bunch of legumes.
right.
There'll be clover plants, there'll be uh, sun hemp, there are a number of. It's not the usual ones we grow for hay, but there will be legumes in there
Right.
that are feeding that whole grass sward,
Oh,
and
like the Timothy and that sort of
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
or vetch
or
or
in
whatever.
that case it'll be the big blue stem or
Yeah.
whatever warm season grasses are there.
Yeah.
The other thing is those species of grass adapted to that prairie environment are very good at recycling back within the plant. So they'll grow in the spring, and then a lot of that'll move back down to the roots for the winter, and then that's there to they don't uh, sort of put out a lot of growth and then have it cut off and harvested and taken away.
Right.
So it's recycling. So that's a prairie system. There was some very interesting work done actually in the rainforest in BC, and you've got all these huge Sitka spruce and western red cedar, and how do they get so big? Um, I forget the exact percentage, but it was more than half of the nitrogen in those trees came from salmon.
Oh, okay. I remember watching a Nature of Things
Yeah, so
episode, and
so
they were talking about the
the
bears
sam
leaving the salmon all
yeah
over the place.
the salmon are migrating up the streams. The bears are eating what they want, leaving the rest on the shore, and they're
Right.
rotting down and they're feeding the trees. And if you cut off the salmon, the trees would be nitrogen deficient.
And I imagine there's probably like a salmon belt. Like you've got your riparian, so you've got your forest,
Yeah.
you've got your riparian zone where there's things that grow near the river that don't
Hmm.
grow
Hmm.
anywhere else. And there's probably things that grow on behalf of these rotting salmon that just
Yep.
would not
Yep.
grow anywhere else.
Hmm.
That's it too. And also when you think about a forest, I guess you've got all these, like all the activities. If you go in the forest behind my house, and I mean the soil, the ecology here is like Newfoundland, where I am. Not Nova Scotia is weird. It's a very weird province. There's different ecologies in the
Yep.
province, right?
Yep.
So where I live, I call it the land of granite and spruce trees, sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
uh, so there's parts of the forest back here where it almost looks like someone planted it as a monoculture. This is just spruce trees, or
Yep.
you'll be
Yep.
in an area where it's just pine trees, probably because the soil is extremely acidic in those
Hmm.
locations.
Hmm.
It's the only thing that can live there. And then you got these swamp areas where you got, your tamaracks, things like that that can
Hmm.
handle all
Hmm.
that water. Um, but like yeah, the soil there. If I brought some of that soil up and put it in a pot and tried to grow something in it, it would be. I've played
It would
around
it
with it.
would it would be pathetic.
It looks like beautiful soil. It's black and it's got
Oh
all
yeah.
this nice
Yeah. Yeah.
feel. And then you try to grow anything and these little tiny potatoes, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just it's
Yeah.
amazing. Anything, the only thing that seems to grow in it are this handful of things. And we don't have this incredible variety here too.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
like 10 things in the woods, you know. So man, when you see something that's different, it's on an edge, right? Where the
Yeah.
forest meets kind of, we have fields here, but it's not grass, it's these bushes, this
Okay.
sort of, these weird kind of waist high bushes that rip
Hmm.
your clothes off and
Oh.
tear your pants up. Uh, you know Or you might have that another edge where, you're getting close to where the water is, on the edge of a lake. You have a completely different ecology there. So this narrow strip of, all of a sudden you start seeing choke cherries and things like this, right?
Right,
Which
right.
they're not everywhere. They're in a certain spot, or you have like
Mm-hmm,
a ridge where it's getting all day sun, and it's drier. So you have different things growing in those spots, but otherwise it's all spruce trees and
Yes. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
birch
Well,
trees
it's something
and
that's
some maple.
adapted to acidic soils and low fertility.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And if you add fertilizer, something else will come in that will outcompete them.
Yes. So it is something I was so enamored with the permaculture, the elegance and the beauty of the explanation for how natural
Hmm.
systems work. But it is a bit of an idealization, when you compare to what are you growing in your garden. You're growing all these tropical foods that aren't even
Yep.
native to
Yep.
here. And as you say, there's this huge energy extraction from the system, and you want this incredible productivity. We don't want the cucumber. If it was in nature, the cucumber would grow one little cucumber or two.
Yep.
I want one plant to give me 20 cucumbers about this big.
Hmm.
And I want them to be perfect, right? Um, so I want a very different thing than the thing that just happens. And we sometimes
As I say, Mother Nature's always right, but she doesn't care about us.
no, and we'll see things that are growing. Like if you look at a chokecherry tree, for example, it is growing perfectly. It's productive. There's cherries everywhere, but it's growing in the one place for,
Hmm.
kilometers that
Yep.
is ideal for that. That's why it's productive. You
Yep.
couldn't just, take some of the, you could take the seeds from that, you could take the berries from that chokecherry, just throw them all over the place. Um,
And yeah, you might get one other tree that grows
yeah,
that is
exactly.
productive. And
Yeah. So it's exactly. Hey, if you want to help support everything I'm doing here, go to Vessies.com to buy whatever you need for your garden this year. And use my coupon code GAVS23 to get free shipping as long as there's a pack of seeds in the order and there's no oversized items in the order. Check out the description box of this video for details. You can buy everything you need from Vessies. They have seeds, fruit bushes and trees, soil amendments, pest solutions, tools, clothing, and lots of other stuff too. So yeah, if you want to help support everything I'm doing here and they sell something you need, buy it from them using my coupon code, and happy gardening.